Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One. It's Friday, June the 7th, the year 2019. Let's talk trading. It's time for the weekly wrap up and NFP day. And of course, I would assume this week you've used money and risk management on each and every trade. You can see we filled the gaps this week. I think we filled them either by the end of Monday or sometime Tuesday, if I remember correctly. But you see here, it was definitely huge, this move. Nice move here, 169 pips off the open, 176 pips off that weekly low. Actually, yeah, off the weekly low here. And you can see month, week, and day. Green, we open the day above the previous day's midpoint, giving us a long bias. And here's week one, or I'm sorry, here's day one of the week, that range. You see we crashed out of it or broke out of it on Tuesday, dipped back in Wednesday, dipped back in Thursday, and Friday didn't dip back in. We're way above. You see we shot above the previous day's high. So we are actually green here on the month of June. You can see that. And we're above the first trading day of June. We saw that a couple of charts ago. But we are back inside that inside bar area, and you know what to do. It's 9 days old, but these levels will probably still prove to be profitable. Just remember, these videos are for educational purposes only, and your results may differ from my results. And you can see here once again, we broke out of that previous day's high. We're up 16 pips, but only a 47 pip range. It's NFP day, and we only have 3 pairs over 100. And look at the beast, only 68 pips. The new beast, 135 though. That is just sad. But you see, the one thing about, most of the methods I show you doesn't matter. They still work. Even on these days when you're expecting a huge range, they still work. We still got that breakout. Some of these methods you have to say, is the market in accumulation? Is it in consolidation? Is it in distribution? Blah, blah, blah. You draw these lines, they're fixed. Price is either going to cross it or it's not. It's so simple. You can see we've put in monthly H1 highest open. Here's the monthly D1 highest open. And you see this lowest open just a few hours ago gave a nice entry going to the north side there. And you can see we've got another missed pivot. So that's going to loom large. Let's see what happened. Oh, rat zone. Really not much rat zone, only 46 pips, but we're in the upper rat zone here. So red rats may be able to get some cheese before the end of the day. Let me put this back to H4 so we can see the week here. Waiting. There we go. Now, if you remember, beginning of the week, I pointed out the weekly pivot, 121.59, and the monthly pivot, 122.39. And now we have taken out both of those pivots. And I showed you the charts how often the pivots are missed, which isn't that often. Now, somebody posed a question, about trading the pivots. It's just really simple. This is really a very simple trade. You have the open right here. The pivot is above the open, so you want to buy. And so we've got, this was the monthly open, which was the first day of the week also, and the weekly open right here. So you want to, because you've got the weekly pivot and the monthly pivot and the daily pivot, daily, weekly, monthly, all above the open. So you want to fade the pivot. In other words, you want to buy because you're expecting price to move away from the open and towards the pivot. There's nothing more to it than that. It's one of the simplest trades there is, in my opinion. And the beauty of it is it's statistically sound. Once again, if you're just now tuning in, you can see here we missed a pivot back in April. We missed 3 last month, but they can still get knocked out before the year's over. You can see 2017, there's no missed pivots. 2018, only 2. And here for the week, you can see 2016, none. 2017, 1. 2018, 2. So far, 2019, 2. This is why we trade towards those pivots. And finally, for the month, there wasn't one in 2013, 2014. Look, you had to go all the way back to 2008. Look at how many monthly pivots have been missed since 2008. That's what, 11 years? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is statistics talking here. This isn't some, back testing, curve fitting, nonsense. This isn't something talking over your head with formulas you can't comprehend. The pivot, you add the high, you add the low, you add the close. You divide that by 3. That's your pivot point. It's so simple. Is there something magic about it? No. The only magic is that there's thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not millions of traders who trade using pivots or consider it. So use it to your advantage. And it doesn't matter. All you have to do is run the stats for whatever pair, whatever instrument you're trading. Either trading towards the pivot works or it doesn't. And you can see here how often it works. Or actually, this shows you how often it doesn't work, because it usually works. Price action. Okay, we got a 3-ball at the top. Larry live trade. Randy real time. Looking to short at 50. Wick zone. It's another one of those trades where, how many times does price close in the wick zone versus entering the wick zone and then exiting? You can see here it entered, exit, entered, exit, entered, exit. I mean, day after day. This is what you want as a trader. You want something that you can use day after day. So, I guess it was yesterday I answered the question or started talking about trading plan. I mean, you could have a simple pivot trading plan. Your trading plan is, if the pivot is so many pips above the open, I will then trade, buy at the open, trade towards the pivot. And when I get close, I can move my stop up or I can take profit at the pivot, close down my trading platform, and be done with it. Or what I could do is I could put the trade on, I could put a stop loss in, put a target in, and walk away. I'm either going to stop out or hit the pivot. You could use 1-to-1, 2-to-1, risk reward ratios. It's up to you. Do what works best for you. I mean, the one thing about pivots is you could run a back test on it. And this would actually have some merit. And you could see, or actually you can run the frequency distribution, see, the distance between the pivot and the open and how many times it fills. So maybe if it's only 10 pips, it fills it 90 some percent of the time. If it's 20, it fills it maybe, 90. If it's 30, maybe it only fills it 80 some. Those are the kind of things you can do running your statistical analysis with some of the tools that I've built, and you can figure out what works best for you. And you can see here, not much movement. I guess all the hoopla of NFP has died down. And you can see here, we're not really moving much at all from when I brought up this particular profile. And you can see here, price moved down, took out some of the lows. So now we've got this gap between here and here. And just trading the opens, you can see here we crossed my favorite, the 1400 hour. It crossed and hasn't looked back. And on the range here, you can see we're in the, this is very interesting. It doesn't happen too often. See, this is the weekly, but we actually have the daily upper zone above the weekly zone because prices moved up so far. Range for the week, 179. Range for the day, only 47. But you can see here, using these are targets. So you take the open, you add half the ATR, the min ATR, the max ATR, and you get a target from open to ATR. Once again, simple. You know which way you're trading based on whatever biases you're using, and then you know a good place to start taking profit. But we've the range 47 and the average range is 73, so we're just nowhere near it. Once again, just showing the weekly open here. We switch over to H4. You can see this was pretty much a day one trade, and price hasn't come anywhere near it. So this is one of those ones where maybe you took profit here, and then maybe you wrote it, and it's like you panicked, and then you took profit here. Sometimes you just put the trade on, and you just leave it. You get to a point where it's like you're in the trade, and it's moved away. You put your stop loss, move it up to break even +1, and you just sit back and see just how far it goes. So that's it for the week, fellow traders. I hope you had a profitable week. I hope you had a profitable NFP day. Wishing you a fun and safe weekend. And so when you come back here next week, just remember the one thing, that it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So let's come back next week and continue draining the banks.